Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the SZR race series. We are just about getting into racing for 3 laps out on the Watopia reverse course for, I believe it's going to be race number 13, I believe, in the series. This is a 12 race series, 15 race series where your 12 best results do count. Current series leader, Mr. Kim Little, in the A category, followed up by, Matt Johnson and then Tom Grimshaw. Now, I am seeing something interesting over in the series placings. And if we do have any of the Zwift Power or the organizers in the broadcast, please let me know what's happening with the current series results right now, as I am seeing certain riders crossed out, as which is a little bit interesting, which I've never seen before over at zwiftpower.com. But we are going to jump into the racing action here in just a moment. We actually had both of our feeds crash on us. Well, one of us leave the front end of the race, followed up by the other one completely crashing on us. So we definitely had a little bit of issues here getting into the race right from the get-go. But definitely going to have the races up for you here in just a moment. I should be following most of a lot of the riders that are a part of the race here. So we do have, it looks like, the C category, bringing them up here in just a moment, as they are right here. I believe we do have part of the C category here. I'm going to have to find out, though, pretty quickly from zwiftpower.com exactly where everybody is sitting in the race, so that we do know which one we're looking at as well. This is a lesson in needing broadcaster tools. We're just going to keep hammering on that one, I believe, because we have unable to find any of the racers if things like this do happen a lot of times. So, but we do have Rasan Bahati with us today to co-commentate with us. I want to welcome him to the broadcast as we at least get Zwift instance up with a few of the riders. Not sure where they're standing in the race right now. I do believe they are a few of the C category riders. So, Rasan, how's it going? Good to have you here from Zwift HQ. Hey. Jumping in with us for the broadcast for your first race broadcast.
First ever, feeling excited about it. So thanks for having me, Nathan.
Yeah, for sure. We're excited to have you here for sure. And do you want to just quick introduce yourself, like a little bit, to maybe some of the audience out there? Professional racer, now working at Zwift. What's happening there?
Yeah. Yep. Been racing bikes since I was 11 years old. I retired from racing about 3 years ago. I felt like I reached as high as I can go in the sport. I was fortunate enough to win 10 national titles across crit racing, track racing, also road racing, and had I think a pretty successful career. So enjoyed bike racing, still love bike racing, but it's taken a backseat for now. And I've been with Zwift for almost 3 months, and enjoying the road.
Awesome, really cool. Crit racing was really a focus, is that right? I'm pretty, like, it was a huge focus for you?
Yeah, that's where I made my bread and butter. I was blessed with the knack to maneuver through the peloton, and for such a small guy, I was 155 pounds at my race weight. I was, able to throw out some big wattage and hold it for 60 to 90 seconds, which was good enough to win a lot of races.
Awesome. Really cool. Really cool. Well, good to have you here casting with us. I'm going to actually bring up the Twitch channel as well as our social media integration. If you guys do want to interact with us directly, myself, Rasan, or anything about the racers, we are watching the Twitch chat, and we will also be following the social media integration as well, where you can tweet at ZCommunityLive, and you can get directly involved in in the broadcast by doing so. So I believe Hoppy Merida is out on course racing the SZR race right now. I'm going to double check and make sure that he is, and then we will be able to jump in with the front end of the A race at this in just a moment here. Looking through the live results right now, I'm actually not seeing any of the big hitters just yet showing up in the results. Nothing from Kim Little at this point, at least. I did hear he was maybe joking, retiring from racing. I think that was a joke for sure. But looking through, if he is in here, I will be able to get us into the race. Again, apologies everybody for the holdup at the front end of the race. We are going to try and find at least the front end of the C's though here, as they C's MB category race, as we are looking through here. Now we do not also have that, because we have left the event, we do not have the signification of what race they are a part of either, besides what they put in their name. So we'll try to as well get an idea through the through ZwiftPower.com about who is where out on course here. I am seeing it does look like it will be Richard Dalen, who is, I believe, pretty high up in the series, actually. Currently actually third place out of Norway there, riding for the Vikings team, currently leading out the C category. If we can find Dalen out on course, we'll be able to tell you how he is going and in comparison to the rest of the riders. I'm also seeing it looks like, let's go ahead and see how far in are these racers. 4.3, and we are looking then for maybe Adrian Timmis out there might be racing. No, Mac D is for sure. Callum from TFC is going to help us out and get us into the main race here in just a second. I'm going to have to reload our NDI with it, but it does look like we are in with the front end of the race. Matt Johnson's actually showed up, as well as Mac D from the TFC team here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get this feed to load up for everybody here, and then we will be good to go with our racing here out on Zwift. So there we go. So now we're back in with the front end of the race here. Found them. We figured it out. It took us long enough here. We're about 10 minutes in, 5 miles or so. It's going to be 3 laps, super flat course. Rasan, have you ridden a lot on the Volcano Flat course? I mean, it's the flattest course out on Zwift.
Yep.
They head into the volcano backwards and then down, really the only climb that could have been a climb if you were doing the forward. And then you leave the underwater tunnel there. Really the only place that you can try and get away is that tunnel, I would think. Where do you think their key points out on Volcano Flat might be that racers might be trying to get away?
You know, it's crazy. The flat part is definitely plays a trick on your mind, because even though it's flat, it's so fast and you're putting out watts for the entire race. I'm not sure you have a possibility to get away. Typically when you do a ride or a race that throws in a wrench, like a hurdle with a hill or something like that, that's your time to throw down and throw some watts out and possibly form a breakaway. But on a flat course like this, it's pretty much who will be able to hold, you know, the high wattage until the end. So it's going to be tough for someone to get away a solo, I think.
Yeah, that's what we tend to see on this. The only place on this reverse, you know, they're going to head into this underwater tunnel here. And we do have a lead group at this point that's established itself. It looks to be a solid 45 riders though, or so. And there were about, I believe, almost 400 signed up for the race today. Wow. Amongst the favorites, I think that we see up toward the front here. I'm actually not seeing series leader Kim Little here out on course, actually. So this might open up the door for a couple of the other riders to try and take a W out here. Alvesberg is out here. I believe, though, he is maybe a part of the B category and getting a solid ride with, and that is Pierre Vidar Alvesberg. He's got 6 events in. 118 points total. He's leading Bard Anderson by only a little bit. But like you were saying, I think a lot of times on a course like this, you can get categories mixed up a little bit more and start, getting a little bit of advantage to let their peak power shine a little bit more in other areas, because, the A category is based off of an FTP of 4.0 or higher, right? But there's a bunch of B category riders that can jump into this race here and hang on throughout the entirety of the race and perhaps try and take a good result amongst all the categories because of the way that the course is a lot flatter here. I think that would relate a lot to crit racing as well, Rasan, there with the ability to hang in amongst those who might just have raw power strength that's a little better for a higher period of time. But if you got a sprint or you've got and you're able to play your cards right and tactically correctly, I would think it would make a huge difference. And I think Zwift is showing that off here a little bit. Yeah,
you hit the nail right on the head. It's all about, and crit racing is always about tactics. It's not always about how strong you are. You definitely need speed, but you definitely need intellect to be able to, to race amongst a group of 100, 200 riders, which every team has the same common goal for the most part. Back in my day, it wasn't a lot of teams that had the breakaway mentality. So it was all about a fill sprint. So it was the smartest team, the team that had the most tactical plan out on course that would win.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, and as far as teams out there, we're definitely seeing SZR showing up in the ranks here. TFC is here as well, but they've got two riders here. So the TFC team, they use for those of you that might not be familiar, they do use the yellow kit that we were seeing, the CRCA kit that you're seeing in front of you here as well. So it does look like MACD up toward the front there, as well as who else is in there from TFC? I do see one other rider there, but now this is the point, the 1 point out on course that they do have any advantage to try and get away here. Yeah, a little 3% gradient, Rasan, enough to maybe break somebody off that's suffering already, but maybe not enough to break those who are even skill, I would think.
Yeah, and oftentimes I love these hills because the guys that are feeling really good, even though it's not a big hill, they put out a lot of energy to get over it. And later in the race, that little, those efforts will come back and bite you.
Yeah, for sure. And so we actually had a question coming through from Lee Gosden asking, so what was your race weight, Rasan? So race weight, what was your race weight when you were racing professionally, Rasan?
When I was racing professionally, I stayed at around 150 to about 155 pounds. For crit racing, I was more on the 155. For road racing, I was more at 150 pounds.
Gotcha.
And now you don't want to know my weight.
We don't want to know our weight. That's I can relate there. I try and stay away from the scale. Although I have found that I lightened up when I stopped training a little bit up front because of the loss of the glycogen stores, as well as maybe a little bit of a muscle. But I think after a month or two, maybe 3, we might see a change in that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So looking through a few more of the integrations here, and crossed out means they need to accept T and C. So for those of you who might be wondering what's happening over at zwiftpower.com, if there is a crossed out along the name, that means that their terms and conditions are not accepted yet. So over on zwiftpower.com, if you are seeing a crossed out name on the results, it is because the terms and conditions have not been accepted. And then once you do those things, log in, accept them, you'll be good to go. So there were a couple of attacks here. Let's get in this racing action here. We did see it looked like Hansen, as well as now we do see Helsen here going off the front, coming out of Belgium. A little bit of attack. Puncher here, Swede. Now closing that down a little bit. It is all back together. There were a couple of attacks, though, as we went out of the underground, and it was able to break off a group of about 4 riders here. 8G looks like riding for SDLCK And then we do have Lindered here as well, riding for the SZ team with their cool blue kit here that's in game. So 4 riders here. It does look like another Viking rider here. Bernstein is there as well. It is only 11 seconds, but on a course that's flatter like this, really difficult to bring that back. And you got to really be organized, I would think, Rasan, to try and bring a group of, I think, 30 plus off the front back into the fold.
That'll be tough, especially if you get, half of that 30 actually doing some work and wanting to make it to the finish. So, yeah, they will. The Peloton will need to do some work to bring that group back immediately.
Yeah, and I think up front here, they're almost out of sight, out of mind now at this point. 22 seconds, 24 seconds. It does look like they're full on willing to do some work, actually. They can see the splits happening at this point. And tactically, I mean, that's definitely what they're thinking at this point. They can see that the group is starting to spread out. They can see that they're starting to not be as grouped up. What is that? If when you were in a current racing situation, what did that usually mean? What was going on in your head? And depending on where you were at, I would think in that group, what was going on in your head, it was probably different. If you're at the front and you see it starting to string out like there, you see it at the back and it's starting to string out a lot of different. But I mean, what's usually happening at those points?
I mean, for me, in my head, it's either you go one way or the other for me. It's either panic or you just put faith in your teammate. But even when I did panic, I still had faith in my teammates, to close the gap. Or if I missed what happened, I can go up to a teammate and say, hey, do we have this guy in the group? And if we have one of our closers in that group of the split, I would be totally happy with giving him that opportunity to close the deal for the team. So you always want to give your teammates the opportunity to close the deal. If they fail a couple times,
that's a really good point, Rasan, actually, about teams, because there's so many out on Zwift. I mean, we're seeing the SC teams. Oh, that's not what we want to see right now. And we can go back over to our other feed here. I'll move our way backwards. Sorry about that, everybody. For some reason, we're having struggles today with our setup. So we'll go ahead and bring them back in just a moment here. But it gives us a chance to check out the C category. We are looking for Dallin out here in order to grab the front end of the C category. The B category and the front end of that race is mixed up with the front end of the A's right now because this is a mass start race out on Zwift. But we're going to see if we can get back in here and throw back to the front end of the A category. But we do see, it looks like Newman here from Great Britain hammering away with Rydberg, and I do believe this is close to the front of the C category. These are some familiar names to me actually here. Gron is there as well. Arthur from Road.cc. Marshall then taking the right-hand turn, as you can see here, on to the Volcano course. I'm going to keep on moving forward, though, as I do believe the C category is absolutely flying tonight. We are seeing, looks like Bystrom here, as well as Egan. Who else here? Hog is here as well, C category rider still. So we'll keep moving forward with the C's, it looks like. And I'm going to actually check out zwiftpower.com here real quickly and see if that can help us out with an idea of exactly where the front end of this C category race is at. As I move through some of the results, I'm trying to see if I can catch any of these names actually that we've been moving through here. Blomqvist right along with Jacobson, and then Richard Dallin up toward the front. The last time they saw them out on course, I believe, not catching them just yet here. So I'm going to see if I can find, here we go. So actually Bjorn Hag, who we are looking at, he's out on course here, pretty close to the rest of these riders here. Actually sitting just, I believe, outside of the top 10 actually. So we are moving our way forward in the C category, so we'll be able to at least be able to find them for the last lap and a half. So we are going to get some help here from MACD again, as we are having trouble staying connected to the race here, but it looks like we are going to grab back onto the front of the A's here in just a moment. Back up to the front of the C category though, as we do move forward. I am just getting Dallin actually into the screen here. Now he is with so many riders though at this point that we're gonna have to really be tactical about our positioning in this pack here just to find Dallin out on course. I mean, it looks like there's a solid group of about, I would say, 30 riders or so now leading out this C category. And as they exit down with a ton of speed here, 31 miles per hour actually, we do sometimes see attacks on the downhills. There's some realism there, I would think, too, as well, that downhill sections sometimes used to try and get away, carrying the speed through, maybe not on the actual downhill section, but the second that you leave the actual downhill that's causing all that speed, once you hit the flatter section and everyone starts slowing down, if you take that momentum and speed up, you can try and get away a little bit. We did see a few trying to do that there, but they've all been swallowed up by what's being labeled the blob lately, which is the peloton.
Yeah, it absolutely works. And if you go back to the last couple years in the Tour de France, you saw Peter Sagan and Chris Froome actually attack on downhills and get substantial gaps. So I think if they can do it, we definitely can do it, and they prove that it actually works,
Yeah, and we definitely we are seeing that a lot actually out on Zwift, that the downhill sections have been sections where full-on attacks are taking place, and a lot of times people will put everything they can into a climb, right? I just got to make it over the climb. I just got to make it over the climb, and then if you attack them after they put everything into the climb and you played it smart, it's game over.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, for guys that are not climbers like myself, you have to stick to, your ability. So I would always save a little bit on the climb and know that I can go much faster on the flats because I'm a flatlander, or I can maneuver the corners a lot better, stuff like that. So, and far as been in the race in Zwift, if you're a heavier guy and your watts per kilo is a little lower, make sure you wait till you get to the flats to make up that ground. You can actually save a little bit of energy and not use as much when you're on the flats.
Yep. Yeah. And we are seeing here a couple of questions coming through. Do you guys still get the same adrenaline rush with Zwift that you get during a race out on the road? I'll answer that first myself. I definitely get the same, like going into a finish, especially if it's like a higher stakes race. Like there's a little bit on Zwift of like being able to just show up to a race, do the race, cool. These results are not, it's a C priority or a B priority race, more of a feel to it, right? Like it's not a huge priority race, but it's still a race. And so I still get like, I want to win, and I get that like rush where I want to win. But at the same time, if it's a higher priority race, I could say the crit racing that's going on, that we're going to have tomorrow, there's prizes on the line. There's a lot of people watching. There's a ton of hype around it. It's a big deal race. The CVR World Cups as well, league that's going on. And knowing that there's something on the line, I get the same jitters going in and setting up for the sprint and wondering who's going to go where. And, I definitely, I get a very similar experience in the competitive nature to it. There definitely is not the same experience of feeling trees going whizzing by my head in the same way. That doesn't happen in the same way. In the same adrenaline rush and feeling of accomplishment of clearing sections really fast. Now I think in crit racing there is always that feeling of like doing that corner perfected, like with perfection, to the point that like everyone falls off your wheel from it, and you gain so much speed out of every corner. I would think if you're doing that just right, and like the amount of speed you can feel going through, you probably don't get that, Rassam, but similar in the competitive nature of your adrenaline.
Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. Even when I hop on Zwift, just to do a workout, sometimes I get nervous. Like, can I actually accomplish this workout without failing? I love watching the Zwift races because you see how serious people are taking these events. So as far as me, I still get the little butterflies in my stomach. When you talked about the end of the race, for me, it was always about like trying to be as calm as possible. If I could see the race in slow motion, I knew I was going to have a great finish. But if things were just going by way fast and I'm on the brakes and off the brakes and shifting gears and I'm all over the place, it was going to be really bad for me. So when I get that pit in my stomach, I know that I'm fully engaged in the bike race, and I have gotten that feeling on Zwift.
Thanks a lot for the question, Lee guys. I appreciate it. If you do want to ask any questions whatsoever, you can bring them right on through. Like Lee Geisen did over at Facebook, or you can shoot them at Z Community Live over on the over on Twitter. Another question coming through here as we are at a flatter section of the course here. It does look like the pack isn't attacking too much. No, not many. Actually, excuse me, I spoke too soon. Let's actually check this out here. As Ride Home actually went off the front there while we were chatting there about the adrenaline rushes there. Looks like he's taking one off the front here at about 5.5 watts per kilogram consistently. Helson sees this as a threat, it looks like, throws it into 8 and tries on the downhill to bridge things down. Now, on a downhill like this, I think that Helson may just drag the entirety of the pack up with him if he's not throwing out 8 watts per kilogram. So, and then we do have, it looks like Kula, it looks like Rakadot here, Johnson there as well, all trying to bring this down, but Redholm here still off the front, absolutely just demolishing himself here, trying to hold on to this back, but even with 5 watts per kilogram consistently here, and the riders here behind not quite as high in their watts per kilogram, but because of their momentum going to the front continually and bringing that speed to the front, they do not have to work quite as hard as Ridholm does in order to hold on to this gap, and it looks like that's going to be shut down pretty quickly, and I have a feeling we'll probably see a counter Rassand here leaving Ocean Boulevard after this section, because a lot of the riders will have gone into the red to close that down.
And Redholm is kind of in that place you don't want to be, and that's no man's land. You know, you don't have anyone in front of you, but you have a massive field behind you that, with a little bit of effort, they could just swallow them up, which they just did. So, as a bike racer, you always want to think, you know, you don't want to use the unnecessary efforts, because I'm telling you, they always come back and they bite you in the butt. If you lose the race, you get second or third, you know, and the guy who beat you just had a few more watts more than you can go back and think about those wasted efforts.
Yeah, for sure. The now we're seeing Helson here with a little bit of a counter, right home jumping on there, and it's that's a good point here. And there's a little bit of caution being thrown to the wind at this point, because the climb is coming, but it looks like they want to continue to press the point here at the front end of this race, and perhaps a little bit of organization going on, or at least between them, knowing that they're putting pressure on the race here. As you look through, they're definitely getting a little bit spread out behind here. A few riders playing it smart, able to hang on to some wheels here, but a few at the back there just hanging on, it looks like, having to get up out of the saddle. Mac DTFC there, another Vikings rider in that Amgen Tour of California kit, bring it all, trying to bring it back to the peloton. Now bunching up again, it does look like they're about to hit that uphill grind, and I have a feeling a few riders might be on the rivet at this point, just trying to hang on. 163 beats per minute. We are seeing a Vision rider here, Herman, though, out of Germany, looking very comfortable, actually. Helson here, Avelsberg, 147. So there are a few riders, though, that have been playing it very smart up to this point. Now the watts really start to kick, though. MACD up in that 8.1 watts, become 600 watts now. 160 beats per minute here. Fulford, though, Vision Cycling, absolutely killing it off the front. 8.5 watts become on that Tron bike now, as you can see. And it looks like him right along with Herman here, trying to make a little bit of a break, but nobody able to go anywhere just yet. And it's that flatter course, only that little bit of kick. Only people who are really suffering, I think, Rassand, at this point, are going to be falling off.
Yeah, that's why it's going to be important for the guys who want to have a breakaway to go through the tunnel just absolutely going bananas. So when they do hit the uphill, the less strong riders will have a hard time getting over that small little pitch. But if you're going to just kind of ride at 3.5 watts per kilo on that flat section, the 15-second uphill is not going to crack anyone.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the organization of a team would have to make things go total bananas, right? You'd have to really have somebody willing to sacrifice and make it stupid fast through the tunnel, so that somebody who is sitting on that wheel, getting a good draft at 4 watts per kilogram, sitting on someone who's doing 6 all the way through the tunnel, could then attack out of their draft there. But we're not seeing too much organization toward that end just now. Heading into the final lap here, we do have, it looks like, I'm going to do a quick count here, but it does look like a solid group here still, and kind of anybody's race.
Riders.
Yeah, lots of riders.
I was doing a race one time, and after about 6 laps of a 9-lap race, they realized I was still there, and it was a dead flat finish, and I was pretty much the fastest guy there who wasn't a climber. And so just like the scenario we talked about, a couple teams got to the front, went really hard on maybe lap 7. So in lap 8, even though I was absolutely dying, I went to the front with them and pretended like I wasn't hurting and literally shut the whole thing down. And it was the only way I made it over the climb. Because if they went hard for one more time, it was no way I was going to make it.
Yeah, gotcha. And I think
so I had to
the
do
positioning, Rasan, the positioning then is really important, right? About where 100%. You are heading into those crucial points. A lot of times I think people get lax a little bit, hanging onto a wheel, thinking that they're playing it smart at any time. And then next thing you know, a couple riders in front of you aren't holding that wheel any longer, or a couple riders way at the front went so hard that they're gone, and now the chases start happening, and people are going absolutely bonkers. And as you do see here, we have an attack now. Speaking of people going bonkers now, we do see it is going to actually be MacD from the TFC team here now on that pink Tron bike. Looking behind him, Wallstrom's trying to close it down here. It does look like Fulford there as well from Vision. Jay Adams there, Jacobson as well as Puncher, all trying to bring it back there. Looks like 2-second gap though back to Hansen. Now this is about the positioning we were just talking about. For these riders that are at the back here, if they can't hold on to the pace, will find themselves snapped off the elastic here. So MacD still pressing the point there. Wonder if he's doing a little bit of work for a teammate, though. I did see another TFC rider in and amongst the group here. I do believe it will be. I'm going to try to see if I can find the other rider. It is Weitzner, actually, that is in here. Weitzner, strong rider, actually, in that CRCA
kit. Kula on the back of the field, you're talking about that elastic braking, and he's just getting back to the back of the field. So, you know, that you look at one rider who's in there, and then when the acceleration happens, he's getting gapped off a little bit. So maybe if Kula could get a little farther towards the front of the field, he won't have that elastic accordion effect and be able to, you know, sustain his power all the way to the finish.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of efforts wasted not knowing maybe when the sections of attacks are coming. You know, like if you're up toward the front, you only have to put out 600 watts for, 5-10 seconds. If you're at the back, that's an extra 10 seconds of 600 watts, right?
Absolutely. That goes back to positioning.
Huge.
And if you look at a race, it's going to be, for instance, an hour race, and you have to do that 10 or 15 times. Well, you're not going to make it. So it's important that positioning is everything.
We are seeing a couple of more comments coming through social media here. When there are road surface changes on Zwift, does your effort need to change, just like riding on cobbles, for example? I do believe that a couple of the trainers do change for the surfaces. Now, the question as to whether or not Zwift itself, though, slows down the rider's avatar, that's a really good question, because there may be resistance created from the cobbles, though, themselves, or from some of the resistances that are on the road there. That's a great question, and that's one that I actually cannot answer. After Zwifting for 3 years, I do not know the answer, actually, to that one.
I believe it does change. If you're using the Tax Neo, I know that they have some effects where you feel the cobbles and your resistance will come into play when you hit different sections of the road. I believe. I could be wrong, but that is a good question. We should know the answer to.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, so getting more resistance is one thing, but the question there is also, do you have to put out more watts? You know what I mean? Because you might feel like, I might be climbing and have my trainer difficulty low, but I still have to put out the same amount of watts, the same amount of power as the other riders, right? And so I think that we, definitely, I think that there's definitely something to be said for figuring out whether or not there's more watts that need to be put out during that. And yes, some cobble sections on Tax Neal, it gets a lot harder, Anthony is saying. So, Anthony, I do know he does have a tax. So,
great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Great question coming through there. So looking through, though, it does look like it's going to be pretty calm here up till that last section. On the course here, Helson now 6.2 watts per kilogram. Nordstrom there as well. It doesn't look like Ridholm there. Helson going again. He will not stop going for it here. It looks like Alvesberg here 3 seconds back now. And this might be let go, actually. It looks like. I'm not sure that anybody's going to chase this down. 3 seconds up now at this point. And 5 seconds. It continues to go out and nobody making a chase yet.
It's always a good sign when one guy can go, because the rest of the peloton just looks around and goes, well, it's only one guy. I'm not going to chase him. And they all look around and say, well, I'm not going to chase him. And then now he's up the road 10, 15, 20 seconds. And now you're fighting for second place.
Yep. Yeah. And it does look like that is what's happening here. 7 seconds. I mean, how many seconds do you think he's got to get at this point in order to hold on to this gap? I mean,
I would say at least 15 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, 15 to 20 off the front to be able to hold off a full-on charging peloton, I would think. Yeah, that's probably
because
a good
the problem is, unless you get someone, unless you get some teammates up there to actually, like we talked about earlier, make that sacrifice and end their race for the sake of the team, no one's going to chase them down. So hopefully these guys are chatting and saying, you know what, follow my lead. I'll give up my race and I'll bring this guy back. But he is absolutely crushing it right now.
Now 6.2 watts per kilogram on the uphill. Now it's always a question of how much do you have after you've attacked into an uphill section like this. And I think they were actually maybe waiting, knowing that he wouldn't have as much of a kick as the rest of them. Rakadak here. Now, as you watch the time gap come down, there is the realization, though, in the rider, if he can hold on to just a few seconds, he can have continuance over the top, but it's only 3 seconds, 2 seconds. But these riders are probably not going to have a whole lot to give after kicking this hard after up and over the top. It is 3 seconds still. Can he hold on to that 19 meters? If he gets within 5 meters, they have the draft on him. But as you can see, he has faded now at this point. Says the jig is up. Goes down to 1.1 watts per kilogram. Now 6.8 though, again, maybe so one last little kick. He's really in the hurt locker right now. But Helson actually just noticing he does not have a heart rate monitor on. So he will not be able to take the W here out here today. It's a solid effort. Great job, but no heart rate monitor. So without that, there is an inability to actually take the wins in some of these races according to the rules, actually. So solid effort there, though, coming from Helson. Has been shut down, though, by the likes of Rakadat here, as out of France, followed up by Adams right on his wheel. It doesn't look like Jacobson still there. Fulford now. Fulford's been super animated at the front at the most important times, it seems like, actually. And so I'd be definitely watching for him maybe to be taking a W out here today.
Whoever's going to win this race is going to put out some pretty big watts on this flat course, and I can almost guarantee you they haven't been using any energy. So interesting to see who pops out of the fill and they'll be able to take the W. And I didn't know you had to have a heart rate strap on, so that makes a lot of sense. I like that rule. Yeah,
so some of the races do, some of the races don't. There is, so if you go into the description for the races, for the events, a lot of times they'll say in the race information all of like the rules to the race.
Okay.
Some of the races have power-ups. Some of the races don't. This race has no power-ups allowed, actually. They are taken out of the race altogether, so you cannot use them. The KISS races, power-ups are used anytime you want. Some of the races require heart rate monitors. Some of the races say that Z Power can't win. Some races say that Z Power over a certain amount can win or can't win. So lots of different rules between all of the race organizers. And that's what's cool about it, is that there's a lot of different ways to race out on Zwift. This is, what do you got? Raw power, no power-ups involved whatsoever. Has a lot more of, I don't know if I would say realism, because in real life, there's a lot of random things that happen, RNG, random number games that do happen. You do actually get things that are similar to power-ups happening in real life racing that you get an advantage that maybe somebody else might not get. But
absolutely,
as far as just like, what do you got versus what do I got? That is definitely a part of this race. And some people like that control. Some people like to have that feeling of like, I know that it was just what your power was against what my power is. And then tactically, how did you use that in and amongst the group? And I mean, what do you think as far as situations you would get into in crit racing? I would think that like just unlucky situations might happen, or very lucky, fortunate situations happens as well.
Yeah, I always say bike racing has a lot of luck involved. You know, there was a streak of time where I crashed every single weekend for 5 or 6 weeks straight, and it wasn't to the fault of me. It was just, you know, all right, on this corner, I know I have to be in the top 5, and then boom, the third wheel crashes and I run into them. And then the next week it's all right, I'll sit back a little bit, and then boom, I'm in the middle of the field and I crash. You know, it's just things happen. And so a lot of times you do have to be lucky. And I've always taken credit for the good luck I've had in crit racing. But I think one thing that any bike racer or any competitor has to do is just have confidence. And once you have confidence, even when things don't go your way, sometimes you figure out a way to make it happen anyway. With bad luck, flats, broken chains, you name it. I finished the race fairly well at Tulsa Tough, which is a 3-day weekend race, or a three-day race over the weekend in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And one of the stages, I broke my rear derailleur and still finish in the top 3 after racing half the race like that. It's just like, once you're engaged mentally and you know that you're prepared, I think you can overcome all the obstacles, you know?
Yeah. And that's a pretty amazing result there, actually. Tulsa Tough, quite the event as well. Huge. It reminds me a little bit of in the mountain bike scene, you've got the epic events going on where it's just a gigantic party at some parts of the race. But Tulsa Tough is another level. That's like another level of a whole crazy party with the fans out there. Pretty cool racing going on. They do an amazing job out there.
We need more events like that.
I'm with you. So this Rocketot's been off the front here continually. Again, this section of the race, I think there's so much flat going on through Ocean Boulevard that I think riders just get anxious and they're just like, I want to go. And they give a kick toward this section. But then on the downhill, they tend to get caught. And as the Peloton brings it back, we do have a comment coming through that's interesting from JZN91, actually, over at the Twitch channel, asking about now, what I want to know is how the machine understands that you need more watts when you're heavier. As you can see on the right-hand side of the course here, Rocketot's putting out 5.0 watts per kilogram. So he actually had to put his weight into the race, into the game. And then based on the watts per kilogram that you're putting out, it actually pushes your avatar forward at the speed that you would need, that you would go close to what's in real life. So the idea is that the watts per kilogram on the right-hand side, then, not even the idea, it's actually a calculation that's taking place in game based on what you weigh and how many watts that you're putting out. It's then moving your avatar forward based on your watts per kilogram. And so everybody who's in the A category race actually is expected to be able to hold 4.0 watts per kilogram or higher based on their actual weight. So it was a great question there, JZN91, and it was definitely thought of up front when Zwift was made to make sure that everybody is riding with and against each other in this virtual environment in a similar way that they would be in real life. Well, we're coming into the final here now. Still a huge group of riders here. Looking at the right-hand side here, I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to make a call out here for, I can't ignore it. Jay Herman is still the big dog lately, showing up out on Zwift. I'll be watching out for Herman to be taking the sprint here. I think he's going to be quickly being asked for some Zada approval because he's been so strong lately, but he's been super low heart rate. We've been seeing it. Fulford there seems to be leading it out for him. Do you got a prediction here, though? Rasan, out here today for the riders. We've got, it looks like about 15 or so, and it's a full-on sprint, almost to the finish here from here because of this little kick. They'll rest a little bit, come around the corner, and then everything they got to the line. Any of the riders looking strong to you out there today?
Being that it's my first time on this side of Zwift, I have no idea who's who. So I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to watch and see who's got the good stuff. And
well, we're
I'll
talking
be able
about
to study
random
those
and
riders
luck
for next time.
We're just talking about random and luck. You could just throw your hat at one of them. Here, throw the craps on the table. Here we go. But we do have Cedarholm, though, going off the front here. Actually, Rocket, in the Bikes and Beers kit. They've been using this kit. It's got some of the French colors. And so I believe maybe riding for the French team actually in game. Doesn't have it in his name, but I thought I did see him in the roster for them there. But now right home here, going off the front a little bit, and this is the hard part because you go a little bit too late and it's game over. If you go too early, you waste too much and you actually lead everybody out. But now up in the 6 watts per kilogram here, right home, followed up by, it looks like Herman. Right home's got 11 watts per kilogram to give now, though, as you can see. It looks like Isaacson holding onto the wheel. He's getting away, though. He's got a gap here. Herman, though, 12 watts per kilogram, 14 watts per kilogram, as you can see, bringing it by. But Hansen, 12 now, neck and neck.
Oh, man, it's so close.
Who's going to hold on to it? And will he be able to come by and right at the line? Oh, my goodness. And that was a great sprint. It was Herman.
Great sprint.
Hansen was able to hold on to it. And then it looked like Johnson maybe snuck by at the end there. I actually am unable to grab the instant replay for you guys because of our earlier technical issues. So it grabs Zwift itself, you guys, while we're recording, and it actually shut down the recording for the instant replay. So sorry, everybody, we're unable to bring that in for you, but we can bring you the C category, maybe bring in some instant replay for you from that as they finish up their race. They're not too far behind, actually. This is pretty amazing race here for these front runners in the C category, actually. I'm seeing Hog here, actually, has brought it back quite a bit to the front end of this race. Let's see if we can find a few of these C category riders. I'm seeing M. Tucker here from the KRT team, actually. Now back to Hag here. We are seeing, where is Dahlin? He's currently in the top end of the race series right now. And let's double check here real quick and see where he is sitting. I'm not going to be able to get the sprint for the Bs. I do not believe. Steve Nordstrom, I do believe, is winning that pretty easily and has already crossed the finish line, I believe. So Nordstrom, followed up by RD and Simon Belden. They're going to be sprinting it out for second and third place here. So we're going to go ahead and try and find the front end of the C category again. And it does look like Richard Dahlin is still off the front. Maybe going to be coming across the line here pretty quickly. Where does Atwell and the rest of them sit at this point? But we'll go ahead and catch the sprint between these riders. We do have Hopstadius here from the SC team now leading things out. 16 seconds back from Broadstone. Not going to be able to catch the Danish rider, it looks like here, but it is going to be Hopstadius. It looks like just barely able to hold off Belden, followed up by Kierton, and then it will be Whitaker now as well with Pearson across the line, just ahead of Whitaker, and then Carlson, it looks like here. Anderson from the Viking team coming across the line there for the B category, followed by Ronsgaard. Let's keep moving backwards, though, and see if we can find the front end of those C's as they are about to come in. Oh, now we got turned around to the other direction somehow. Somebody turned us around there. I'm not sure how. We'll keep on moving backwards, though, here and see if we can bring in 4,531 people out on Zwift right now. That is one of the largest numbers I've ever seen, actually. I think we had over 5,000 the other day. Looks like Lindenberg now here sprinting to the line. Not seeing any C category riders. I'm not sure who won that. I do believe it might have been Ferris, actually, from the BRT team coming across the line first. Looking for the first C category rider, though, out here as we click on through. That was like a group of 100 riders that just came to the line. Have you ever been in a sprint with 100 riders, Rasan? Like a full-on 100-rider sprint?
Absolute hectic, yes. Plenty of times. Sometimes you just close your eyes and go straight.
I mean, you probably can't even, like... I mean, at a certain point, there's just no finding the front end of the field any longer, right? At a certain point, it's just done.
At that point, yeah, at that point, if you're not in the top 8 guys, you have no chance to sprint. And the guys I work with, I say, look, your point of reference is to get to this corner as if it's the finish line. Because if you don't make it here, in the top 6 guys, I don't want you sprinting out of the corner from 10th place. That's where crashes happen. Guys are running to the back of each other. So I'll always give a finish line before the finish line. And that's the target, because oftentimes the sprint is not the hard part. It's the positioning to get to the part so you can sprint, if you follow me. So
then in that situation, if somebody is in a riskier situation, you just tell them that at that point, hang on to the wheels in front of you, position well, but don't take big risks for the win. Is that what you're thinking at that point? Because they're still going to hold their position as best as they can, but it's not going to be this like everything you got, risk it all for the win if you're too out of position.
Exactly. It's not worth it. Let's you have to be smart about it, and live to race another day with all your skin. So again, it's like, if it's a 4-corner crit, your idea is to get to the last corner in the top 5. If you're out of the top 5, say you're in the 15th position, then you know what, just hold the wheel in front of you and cruise it onto the line.
And maybe a little easier position to be in as well. And as this is a series working on points, sometimes, it's not as risky, obviously, here. Like on Zwift, that's kind of the nice thing. Even if you are in 15th position and you've got the power, you just go right through all the avatars, right? No big deal.
That's the beauty of the game. Exactly. That's one part I do like about it. My daughter even said, "Can you crash on here?" I go, "Nope, you can't crash. You're so good, you will never go to the hospital again."
I love that. That's
a good
great.
Observation.
That's a great observation. And that's part of the thing that a lot of people are liking about this as well. Obviously a winter training 100%. Tool, but I do hear a lot of people getting away from the dangers of the road though too. It's been a big thing for them.
Yeah, that's why I love Zwift. It serves so many different purposes. Not only safety, but for me, it's convenience. People in the Midwest, East Coast dealing with weather right now. It's a great training tool to do controlled efforts. And it's only getting better. So this is a great platform for a lot of different reasons.
So as far as the results go today, we did see Herman. I wasn't correct. Johannes Herman came across the line. I was correct. Johannes Herman, followed by Jacob Hansen. John Rydholm paid off for that kick he gave early, but it did not pay off for a win, but at least was able to hold on to a solid position there. Matt Johnson came through for 4th place, followed up by Tim Fulford then in 5th. So solid result for SZ as well as Vision out there. ODZ holding down 4th place though in the A category. In the B category, Steve Nordstrom, 3.9 watts per kilogram throughout the duration. Solid effort there, being a B category rider, right on the edge of the A category, actually. Almost an upgrade for him there, but solid effort there. Off the front, about 40 seconds he took the win by over Simon Belden, and then RD coming out of Germany. That's your top 3 in the B category. Now I'm looking through for the series. Let's just take a quick little look at the series here, because Alvesberg, Anderson, and Nordstrom showed up today and took a solid result with a win. And he was only, it looks like, 25 points behind Bard Anderson now. So with only the best of your best 12 counting, he's actually starting to creep up into the top end of the race. And this is where it gets interesting in a series of races, right? When it's a best of, you actually don't see how things are going to pan out until you get to that place where you're into the final races actually, and you can actually see a big turnaround in where people stand in the race series.
Yeah, that's why as a racer, you just always want to be consistent. It almost goes back on the idea of, if you're coming out of the corner 10th place, just kind of roll it in. In this scenario, you actually want to just keep going as hard as you can to keep knocking off those points in these Zwift races. So yeah, you want to be consistent and always get points. Never let a day go by that you don't get points. And then next thing you know, you're in the top 3. Next thing you know, you're fighting for first place.
Yeah, for sure. And so we are seeing some comments coming through here. Brian O'Rourke saying, great insight by Rasan. Bring this guy back. All right. I guess you got to come back, Rasan. Brian says you got to come back, so you got to come back.
You're
He's
the
the
boss,
man.
Brian. I'll be back.
So Lee Gosson saying, have a double kick works wonders then. And that's actually a great comment there, actually. I think having a double kick is a big deal. And I think some people actually train for that, Rasan, specifically.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You have to. I mean, especially if you're going to do flat racing, it's all about like just interval training. I know a lot of people that get on Zwift for the first time, they love the FTP workouts. So it's basically those two things. And of course, you got to have a little bit of heart. So, functional threshold power and being able to put out a big effort and recover fast and be able to do it again. That's bike racing. That's all it is.
Yep. For sure. And so there is another comment coming through here. Matt Johnson says, you guys rock. Thanks a lot, Matt. Good to see you. Brian's excited that you're coming back. Booyah. And then Bring It Doll, actually, who is a part of the series, says Avelsberg upgraded from B to A. So that's why he's not. I see. Competing in the B. Interesting. Jan, thank you so much. I appreciate that insight. So good to see you out there racing as well. So solid result there from all the racers today. So for the other results here, let's take a quick little look. And it looks like for the C category, we did see Dahlin walk away with that one for the Vikings team. Bjorn Haag was able to take down a solid second place, but hit 3.7 watts per kilogram on the day. And like we were saying earlier, it's not always the strongest man who wins, especially in these flatter races. And that will be an upgrade, I believe, for Bjorn. He's over 3.2. And so congratulations on your upgrade there, Bjorn. Then Morten Jarland throws down for third place. Rickard Johansson then for fifth. Nice job out there. Or excuse me, for fifth, as he was right behind Tom Eckers there. So that is the results there for the A, B, and C category. In the D category, we did see an upgrade coming through for Miltenberg. And the finishers, it looks like it will be Kai Knudsen, then followed by Olaf Prince, and then Cyril Schneider. Now, these riders are all getting upgrades there, but I'm just going to call out what I see out there because I cannot separate them out up front right now. But definitely solid ride there from them. I'm going to see if I can. I'm looking through for the women's results, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of women that have showed up for the race out there today. I'm just going to double check though and make sure I do not miss anybody. But I'm not seeing any of the little women's symbols next to the names. I'm seeing Lotta Grana out there. Nice job to Lotta. First woman across the line, it looks like. Awesome. She's got 14 races out on Zwift. Looks like she's won quite some races in real life as well. Solid result there for Lotta. Looking through for a few more, and I believe it will be Linda Tuvelson coming from Sweden as well, taking second place amongst the women. Then Lucy Lawler out of Great Britain there for third place amongst the women. Fifth place goes to Alana. Good to see Alana out there riding for the SC team as always. So that is the top 5 for the women on the day. All right. So next up, Workout Wednesday is back. And so we are going to be doing Workout Wednesday in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. I'm not sure I'm going to be riding, you guys. There's a serious flu going through my house right now, just to be straight with everybody. And I'm not sure I should be riding, but I'll be hosting Matt Rowe actually out here on Zwift here for a group workout. If you haven't done a group workout before out on Zwift, this is what it looked like when we were doing them with Coach Hendy, and hopefully we bring Coach Hendy back in a little bit. Yeah, Coach Hendy. It looks like he's doing really well on the track though, coaching the track racing. Have you been following it at all, Rasan?
USA back on the map. Daniel Holloway took the Omnium the other day in Chile. And I think the TP, Team Pursuit team, was second place, which is really good. And they set a new U.S. national record. So Hendy's definitely bringing his Kiwi experience to the USA Cycling, which is much needed.
We'll take it.
And so far, so good. Absolutely. Thanks, Hendy.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, Coach Hendy, this is This is what it looks like for the group workout, except for I'll probably be sitting, and Matt Rowe will be coaching us through then a group workout in about an hour and 15 minutes from now. So we'll be doing that live. Also, we do have our racer focuses, not our racer focuses, our streamer focuses that are going on as well. We've got Johnny here using the drafting power up, and he's got a cool little he's got a cool little graphic there for his drafting power up there, and he's out there climbing Fox Hill, I believe. But if you do want to get featured, tweet at Z Community Live with hashtag Zwift Clips, and we'll make sure to get your feature into the broadcast. So this is our streamer clip of the week, month, however long this one will last. Till we get another good one. So make sure to send us another one, Zwift Clips at Z Community Live over on Twitter. We'll pick those up. The way that you do that is you use the clip feature on Twitch. Okay, so there's a little feature on Twitch where you, on the bottom right hand side of the video, you just click on the clips, and you can actually clip 90 seconds of any live video you're watching. So the last 90 seconds, or you can make it as short as 15, I think, or even shorter. So go ahead and do that, and you'll be able to submit your Twitch clips. Submit them of your favorite streamer, submit them of your streams, and we'll feature that stream out on the broadcast. So go ahead and bring that right on in, and we will make sure to bring those on in. So, all right, make sure to be joining in with us for the group workouts in about an hour. We'll see you. I thought Johnny only did test streams, Racing Mike said. He's been actually streaming a lot recently.
Nice.
And maybe we get Rasan doing it as well. I think, Rasan, you got a full setup. A setup going on for maybe some streaming stuff. Maybe Rasan can get on some streaming. It's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother level, Rasan. A whole nother level of.
I'm ready.
Like you feel that pressure of people that you're racing with or riding with, but now you got people watching. So now you're like, the audience is out there pushing you. And I've been hosting a lot of people in the community that have been doing it, and they get these viewers coming in, right? They've got 10, 15, 20 viewers watching, and they're interacting with them. You can tell it brings this whole nother level to their broadcast that they're really enjoying. So,
well, I am on the comeback tour, so it's going to be hashtag Chocolate Rocket Comeback Tour, and you guys can help me lose my beer gut. Back in shape. So well, I will be streaming.
We got to have the Big Z in some races in real life, right? We got to have the Big Z in some races in real life. So I'm shooting at a few, I think, next year as well. I'm going to keep that pro license around, I think, for a little bit. But maybe we can get Rasan out there with me. Maybe, do you ride mountain bikes, Rasan?
I do. I suck, though. But if it's super, super technical, I suck. But if it's like cross country, I'll be all right.
All right, there we go. Maybe we'll see him at Sea Otter with me. There we go. Shout out to Sea Otter. Rasan and me riding the course.
Let's do it.
All right, Rasan, thanks a lot for joining in today. We'll see you real soon, I believe, out on these broadcasts here today. Appreciate you taking the time. It was really enjoyable. Take care. Have a good rest of the day over in SoCal.
Thanks. You take care. Stay warm.
Yeah, I'm going to need to stay warm for sure over here. Oh, my goodness. It's cold and snowing here in Wisconsin. But that was Rasan Bahati coming in for the broadcast today. For the SZR series, we had a lot of fun with everybody out here today. Great job to all the racers, all the riders. As always, a big old ride on to everybody. In just about an hour from now, we will be going live with Workout Wednesdays. That will be happening on Zwift's Facebook page, as well as all of the Zwift Community Live streaming spaces. If you want to follow us on Twitch, that is the main place that we are giving you push notifications of every time that we do go live. Make sure you turn on notifications in your settings on Twitch, and you'll be able to get email notifications sent to your Twitch app on your phone, as well as if you download the desktop app, actually, you will also get notifications anytime we do go live if you turn those notifications on. All right, we'll see you in about an hour for the Workout Wednesday with Matt Rowe.